How you doing, Matt?
I'm pretty good. How about you, man?
I'm hanging in there. It's interesting times. We for the sake of the listening audience, you can't see us. We're actually exactly 6 feet apart. So we are practicing social distancing.
But we're not.
We're not 6 feet apart.
We are filming this, you know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. For those of you watching, maybe we're not 6 feet apart. I don't know. We're some feet apart. So, look, Matt and I have already swapped spit this week, so we're good. If we've got it, we've got it. But I think we're good. I feel good. How do you feel?
Feel good, man.
How's the family holding up?
It's, our kids are young. They don't know what the hell's going on. They just think it's a summer break already.
The biggest spring break ever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
How's your daddy daycare going? Like, how are you doing with teaching? Aren't you?
Homeschooling.
Aren't you online? Yeah, you're homeschooling,
man,
right? How's that going?
It's tough. You know, you feel a little more respect for all those teachers out there. Gonna be honest.
Yeah, word up.
It is.
Yep.
You know,
shout out to all the teachers.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know I have younger kids, so it's they usually have one teacher, right? They don't have like 7. Like one of our coaches, Natalie, has like kids like 7 teachers. So imagine
each
talking
kid
to them.
So she's communicating with like 7 teachers for each child. So there's 3 kids.
Pretty much, yeah.
Maybe I should have her on here. That sounds more interesting than what we're talking about.
Yeah,
but
we'll get on
what are we? You know what? I already know what we're talking about. I'm not even going to ask. We're talking about online training, and so it's a great topic right now because a lot of gyms are trying to survive, and we're trying to keep our membership engaged, and we're trying to do right by our communities, and we're trying to keep top of mind why we got into this industry in the first place. And right now, a lot of gyms are forced to close. A lot of you guys have closed voluntarily. And because of that, online training has become a viable option, or maybe a necessary option, a viable option for your customers, necessary for your business. So we're going to break down how we look at it and how we're doing it right now. And hopefully that will be of value to you guys. So without further ado, let's dig in a little bit, Matt. So let's talk about the true, not like the Facebook Live and all the other things we're running, but what is the true online playbook that we're running right now?
Yeah, I mean, so what we're doing, a lot of people some people think that virtual training is just, throwing some workouts to somebody and there you go, you're done. But really, we're going to be as much as we are normally hands-on or more with this. So the whole plan is literally starts with a phone call or Skype or some kind of messaging, however you want to do it, where we sit down and we would do just like our starting point session where we're going to talk about, goals, needs, injury history, to what equipment they have available, to just how they are, because this is tough times, let's be honest.
No, yeah, absolutely. So I think that's really important, the last part of what you said. So the starting point session, we're going to run that. But part of that starting point session, you guys can go back to our sales series and listen to part 1 of the sales series where we covered sort of the peeling of the onion. And a lot of that is just finding out where people are mentally, how they're doing. And I think in this day and time, certainly with what's going on, a lot of people are all over the board emotionally, right? And so what better time to have an emotional support than a coach?
Yeah.
And so this would be, again, for brand new clients, but it's also something that we'll talk about maybe later. I think it's in our playbook right now where we do these calls weekly with people anyway. And a lot of that, you guys, is going to be around how they're feeling and how they're dealing with stress. So imagine also talking about things, and I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself.
No, man,
Matt.
you're good.
Sleep, stress, how are they doing? How are like those conversations that you and I have? Like, how are you doing with your kids? Like, how's it going with homeschooling? What's it like teaching right now?
Yeah.
And I think them just being able to vent and talk about that with someone is really important. And they may have a support group, that they do that with, like a mom's group or something, or a dad's group or whatever. And maybe they don't. Or maybe they're, we have clients that are a little bit longer in the tooth, and maybe they're home right now and they're scared, or maybe, maybe they need something that we can get for them. So there's so many things that happen when you just have a sit down, hey, how you doing conversation with somebody. And I think it's something that we do anyway in person in the starting point, but I think it takes on a whole different meaning in this particular time.
I mean, generally it starts out just like somebody coming to your gym where I want to work out, right? So we'll talk about that stuff. And
is this different with existing clients than it is this particular session? Is it different with existing clients than it is with brand new clients?
I don't think so.
Just the questions are different. Obviously, we already know their fitness levels and whatnot.
A couple of things for sure, but I mean, this is a time. I mean, like you're saying, this is so totally different for everybody. They may be stuck at home, right? They can't go anywhere. Maybe could have high stress levels. This is a time to really talk about those things, which they may have never talked about with you before. Talk about food. I know for one thing, I literally being at home a little bit more just makes you want to eat everything in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's just lots of other avenues, and that's what I'm saying. You may have more hands-on with these clients than you ever have, and you may have seen them before 3 times a week.
Right.
But now it's a perfect opportunity, one-on-one, to find other avenues, and they need that, right? We talked about last week in the entrepreneurs must do, like, healthy diet, what you're consuming,
not only in your diet, but like, what do you, this would be a chance for us as coaches to step in and say, look, maybe don't, only consume a certain amount of news every day. Like, this is for your brain, right?
Yeah.
Start a gratitude journal. We talked about that. We talked, Tony talked about that in our team meeting yesterday, in our virtual team meeting. And so there's a lot of ways that you can guide and coach people right now to make them healthy, and making them healthy, it's a lot about exercise, and we know chemically and scientifically what that will do for your brain and your stress levels, but it's also a lot of other things, right? This is more life coaching and lifestyle coaching, I think, which most personal trainers do inherently. They probably don't know it. It just happens during the session between sets or whatever. And so if you're doing a boot camp business or like a small group training like we do, where we've got six clients with one coach, still it's almost a great chance to just outside of that environment, just really have a one-on-one conversation, even though you're doing it remotely. So I like that idea. And then we're obviously, if it's a brand new client, we're setting up goals. Like we have on here, set up SMART goals, which is just like setting up goals in the gym, right? Like, what are you trying to achieve? Yeah. What do you want to do? And sometimes it's kind of nice also to not talk about what's going on, right? Like, hey, okay, forget it. Let's talk about your fitness for a minute. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Well, yeah, here's, I've been thinking, I've been working out like this. And it's just a chance to escape that and maybe focus on something a little bit more positive that they can do for themselves. And so
let's be honest. I mean, a lot of people we work with, they have crazy lives, and their lives maybe just kind of came to a screeching halt, and it's for a positive. It actually let them focus on themselves a little bit.
Yep.
And we're fortunate. Our app literally allows us to do habits, literally, like, we're going to work on sleep this week. So say this first week, make sure you get 7, 8 hours.
Let me stop you there, because I want to make sure that we get like I think for people listening, they're going to want to know the nuts and bolts of what's happening. All right. So a virtual starting point session. So a video driven session. And like, what would you use for that? Well, you guys, there's 1,000,001. You can do a Facebook video. You can do just a FaceTime video. If you have that type of relationship with clients, you can use Zoom, you can use Skype. There are so many tools that are free and available to you right now where you can video conference anyone. So pick your favorite, go from there. We use Zoom just because we use it for our business, but you can use whatever you want, right? Next is, during the starting point, one of the things that you don't have to do in a gym that we need to do, which is find out what type of equipment people have. Yeah. So like, hey, what do you have access to? If it's like, I have nothing, it's like, okay, great. So you're going to have to get creative. Like, are there some things you can use around the house? Sure. You can use milk jugs. You can use luggage and put something in it, weight it. There's a lot of things. You can use your kids, like get your kids involved so that they're not sitting around driving you crazy. It's like, get them moving with you. You lift them. I mean, anything that you can do, your dog, whatever.
Right.
What do you have available equipment? And then the tools that you have available to drive this are important. And so we have an app, like we have the Alloy app, which it's really built for remote training. So there's not a better tool available than the Alloy app. And we are, for those of you guys listening, we're partnered with Trainerize. So we pay development costs to have the Alloy functions in the gym functions, where a coach can go and pull a schedule and look at their 6 tiles of the people they're working with and apply the programs to them correctly. We did that through Trainerize, but Trainerize was originally built as an online training tool. And so it's awesome. It's relatively inexpensive. It allows you to communicate with clients. I mean, you can probably talk more about the features of it. We're not here to sell it, but the point is, if you have a tool to help you with online training, more power to you. And I think it's a really good idea. And we talked to the CEO. He reached out. It's a great guy, and just said, like, is there any way we can help you guys? Right. And we said, no, like, we've got this thing. Like, you're the master, right? You've been working in the app, and you're helping our coaches understand all the features that it has available, which it has a ton, right? Accountability and lifestyle and sleep and stress, like you said, all that's baked in there. And then we can hold people accountable to that. and communicate through the app to do that. So we keep that professional boundary. But anyway, he called and said, is there anything we can do? I said, no. I said, man, what's your business like right now? He's like, it's unbelievable. Like we're blowing the doors off this thing. Like we can barely, keep up. And it just goes to show you there's always opportunity in any downturn. And sometimes it's based on your business model, but you just need to look for them. One of them is what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Like online training. So, all right. So starting point session, essentially.
Yep.
SMART goals. What do you have access to? How many days a week? What are your goals? What are your injuries? That type of thing. And then what's the tool that you're going to use? And you need to break that down for the client, right? Cool. Now, custom workout design. Now, I want to speak to this for a minute because a lot of people are going to ask about price point, and I think that's important. So a lot of you guys, Matt said earlier what I think a lot of you guys think about online training, which is throw some workouts in the app or do a Facebook live stream or whatever, but it's not that. I think everyone here needs to remember that I see online training, and you should see it as actually a premium offering. Because if you have a brick and mortar built and you have a structure like ours where there is a predictable way to get someone from the front door through the starting point session and apply our programming principles to them correctly, it becomes a systematic way, automatic, right? So in a lot of ways, yes, they're taking up square footage and you're monetizing that and you're giving them accountability to show up. But the programming part, we've got that handled. If you're a customer of ours or a franchisee of ours, then we've got that handled for you already. So in a lot of ways, that's a bit easier. So keep in mind now we're doing custom program design. We're still using the same programming principles, but it should be a premium offering. I mean, how much education and time in the trenches do our listeners have? And that is worth something, right? I mean, when you pay a plumber to come over and they're there for 2 seconds to snake your toilet, you think, well, shit, I could have done that. It's like, yeah, but you didn't. You didn't know how to do it. You didn't buy the tool. You don't have 10 years in the industry. You weren't able to go like, oh, I think it's this, right? Because I've done this 5 times before. And that's what people are paying for. So all I'm asking coaches that are listening to this, if you're going to go online, don't undervalue your services because it is expertise and you are looking at a lot of things. You're actually using more creativity in a home workout design with limited equipment than you are in your own club if you're doing that. It's just much easier in your own club. So don't sell yourself short. So our price point for that right now for current clients is going to be around the $199 mark if we end up in this long term, right? Which is actually on par with one of our membership offerings. I think once the dust clears for not current clients, you and I talked about this, I would bump this offering up to $499 a month. Why? Because if you're getting on specific phone calls once a week with people and you're doing custom program design, you're holding them accountable, and there's lots of communication going back and forth, that's a really high level of service, and folks should pay for that. So I would say $500 a month is not out of the scope. And if you look at other online offerings that were here before coronavirus hit, that's in the neighborhood that they were charging, maybe even a bit more. So online is actually not a lesser service, so get that out of our mind. It's actually a more premium service. If you want to offer it to your current clients for their current membership rates, or less than, premium, I get it. Like it's a great thing to do and you should do that. It will help you preserve revenue and do right by your clients. But I think once the dust clears, this is going to leave us the opportunity again is for us to build something that will be a viable addition to our business that maybe we ignored because we didn't need it before, right? Now it is. And how are we going to monetize it? Charge a premium for it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's my, 10 minutes on pricing, but I think we should charge a premium for it. So custom workout design built. And again, that's around injuries, fitness levels, goals, and what they have access to, right? And then how often are we going to be, Matt, updating their program? Like what are the mechanics of that? How far in advance are you writing these programs for folks? What do you think is best practice?
We are literally going to give them new workouts every week. Within our app, we can build those out a month, 2 months at a time.
Do they only see them a week at a time?
They only see them when they're up on their calendar, so they will not be able to see them.
So so each week their new set of workouts comes out, but it doesn't launch the whole month at one time.
You can literally set it up where it's brand new to them every time they see it. You could do all the back end work that you need to well in advance. And then that's honestly the only way you can do it to be able to handle large quantity of clients.
You're building a month program that you're releasing. I mean, the thing I like about that is it kind of holds the coach and the client accountable to this sort of weekly cadence, right? So that because part of this package is, again, a weekly call. right?
Right.
Whether it be face-to-face or just a phone call. I don't say face-to-face, but I mean video, digital, where you're actually seeing each other, or whether you just want to do it as an actual phone call or a phone call alone. So the weekly cadence makes sense for that. And if there is something that needs to be adjusted, you can universally adjust the programming, week over week, instead of having to go back in and take workouts away that are a month out and restructure them at that point, right?
Yeah, so we talk to them weekly. We will also message them during the week, just check in, see how they're doing. It could be text or through the app, and they also have the ability on their side to message us right about the workout. They literally goes around the work and be like, "Hey, this didn't work," and we literally go in, modify it, change it out, give them something else, make notes, and it's constantly being updated as you go.
Yeah, I like it. So week over week, a month in advance, just makes it easy. Ongoing, what are we doing for them? So we're going to be holding them accountable, right? So if they don't do their workouts, we can see that. So that means you have to monitor their progress, right? Or through our app, how are we doing that?
Well, depending on what mechanism you have, it may be different. For us, it literally, we schedule it on their calendar, and it will let us know immediately when they've done it or if they missed it.
So if they missed it, we also get an alert.
Yep, we get an alert everything they do. It does everything from like if they even achieve a new PR and how much load they use for a certain exercise, it will tell us.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's so much feedback going on back and forth.
If I act mildly surprised, it's because Matt knows everything about the app, and I probably know the least of anyone on the team. I'm, by the way, the dumbest person overall on the team, so I often sit in meetings and go, wow, really? What are we doing? That's amazing.
Yeah, well, like you said, I mean, we never really had to use it to this extent before when we've done virtual training with clients, but obviously now we're in need more than ever. So everybody's digging into it, which is nice. Yep. But the best thing about it, virtual training, yes, you are going to do a lot more service, but you are also able to handle a lot more clients because you are able to put out a month of workouts in advance and automate things where you need to. You can automate messaging, make sure like after this Thursday, it's going to come right out into their messages like, "Hey, good morning. Just want to check in, make sure you're doing okay." Or, "Hey, how's that goal working on, like, you hitting your sleep this week?" It could be anything. And it's ongoing feedback, which we need, honestly.
Well, and imagine if you slept 6 hours and you were supposed to sleep 8, and then immediately the next day your coach reached out and said, "Yo, like, what are you doing? Like, your immune system's going to be compromised if you don't sleep more." We talked about this. Get your 8 hours. Quit staying up late and watching the news or watching TV. Right. And then they might be like, "Oh, I'm so stressed." Well, that's an opportunity again for some life coaching, right? So I love that idea, and I'm really, really happy that we have the app, and thankful that you know everything about it, so you can get us up to speed.
Everything.
Well, yeah, about it, it's important. So, nutrition, we're coaching that as well.
Yeah. So, everybody has their different viewpoints on nutrition. We can literally go and do anything from just tracking macronutrients, right? So we can tell them to get a certain percentage of their protein, fats, carbs. We could go the precision nutrition route where we can tell them we want to work on protein and you got to get 2 fistful of protein at each meal. And there's just different ways because obviously everybody is a little different. Some people love numbers. Some people just like,
Yeah, that's the personalization part, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it fits everybody. You can set goals around just like this week we're going to do protein, this week we're going to do carbs and fat, and then start joining them together, right? Because it's changing, whole world changing. A lot of times does not work.
Yep.
So it's very customizable. You could go as far as if you wanted to put on, whole sets of nutritional plans, right? We have a registered dietitian on staff. She could literally go on there and prescribe a whole meal plan to people. Right. Okay. But make sure that you actually are allowed to do that.
Legal. Yeah. Right? Well, and I think for most people, it's like they know, right? If you went to the store and bought a 2-pound bag of peanut M&Ms and you ate it watching movies at night because you were stressed out.
Is that bad? You probably did that last night, didn't you?
I did. I mean, it's not bad for me because I've got a really weird metabolism and I can live on M&Ms and peanut butter sandwiches. But yeah, for everyone else. But no, I mean, you think about those type of things and how important that is, and giving people like real world strategies like, hey, get your protein up to 1 gram per pound of body weight. Yeah. That's going to increase your satiety. You're going to be less likely to eat a 2-pound bag of peanut M&Ms. You might only eat a little bit of it. And you know what? That makes a difference. It's like every little thing counts.
It's just creating awareness, right?
Yep.
I've been thinking about it. And like I said before, this is really a great time because people are actually not going bonkers and traveling all over the world. If they do their job or whatever, they're stuck at home. They can really actually focus on this stuff.
Right.
Go for a walk every day. I mean, it's just simple things that you can have them do. And I've honestly already seen people, I don't know if you're in your neighborhood, but there are a lot of more people outside and working out.
I've met all of my neighbors,
Yeah.
which I never go outside normally. And it's like, I'm walking my dog 2 or 3 times a day and I'm, running into my neighbors and we're having great conversation. So there's always an upside to this, right? And I think to get people to maybe not focus on the things that they can't control, to just look at that and say like, hey, if this thing is really like the wind and it can't be stopped, then we're just going to have to do our best as a human race to weather this. And in doing so, what's something that I can control right now, right? Like who am I as a person? What can I control right now? One of those things is your health and fitness. So get a freaking coach, because guess what? It's kind of hard even when things are normal. And so it's a positive outlet for some anxiety right now, but you're still going to need a coach because you weren't doing it before maybe, right? Yeah. So now's the time to focus on it. Great. You got the time. We've got the right tools. Let's get this done. But I'm really happy that we have the app and we talk about like nutrition tips and holding people accountable. And I think in its basic structure, that's it, right? Face-to-face,
Face-to-face each week.
Yep. Digital face-to-face, design and program around them. Set everything up. We've got all this automation in the app and then hold them accountable. So we haven't really talked about this. So you may not even have a full-on solution, but what are your thoughts if someone doesn't have an app, right, that they use? I would say jump on there and grab one. I mean, right away. It's like, if you're with Alloy, the Trainer House will give you the Alloy version of the app for 30 days free. So anybody's listening that's part of our family.
I mean, as a coach, you don't have one?
What do you mean?
Or a business, they don't have.
Either way, like if I'm a business or a coach and I don't have an app and I'm just sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, what do I need to do? What would you suggest that they use? Is there an alternative way to do this?
Well, you're going to need some kind of driving factor to send out your workouts, right? It's going to be hard to send any video-based stuff if you don't have an app. We're not going to get, or we can get into it if you want. I mean, there's a lot of coaches doing that kind of virtual train through Skype and stuff. Well, like literally run sessions.
Yep. So that was one of our ideas too. If you're totally shut down, you guys, in our setting anyway, because we're training 6 people at a time, people really enjoy the social aspects of their group. You get to know people, and it's just based on convenience. Maybe you come Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 a.m. because you have a certain schedule. Well, guess what? Other people do as well. So you end up by default working out with the same type of people or the same people Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 a.m. So could you run then a Skype session where as a coach, you just sat there and you had those same 6 people and they were all working from home? Absolutely. And what's cool about that is then they get to collaborate with each other. So imagine you're sitting at home on your laptop, you've got 6 tiles open on the screen. Yep. Everyone's working out. You know them all, their fitness levels. And so you can actually coach them through individually what they need to do based on what they have at home. It's like, no, so-and-so, you're doing them in this way. And it's like, hey, why is Matt outworking you? Come on, get to work. And you can still get the banter and all the things that go along with it. So if you're trying to run your normally structured sessions, you could do it that way. You're still going to need to use some technology these days. But here's the deal with tech. My wife trains a couple that's in their 80s and, they're still super active. The guy still runs his company. I mean, these guys are like 60, at least biologically, probably in their 50s, honestly. And we've been training them for like 25 years. And she goes to their home 5 days a week, right? And so they're obviously nervous right now. And, they're just like, look, we're not having our own kids over right now. We're just trying to like hole up and take a break. And so these folks are in their 80s. And Andrea's like, okay, my wife is like, all right, well, let's do this. Like, let's FaceTime because they have Apple phones and they know how to use them. So let's FaceTime and we'll FaceTime in. You set your phone right here. Here's how you do it. And then I'll just train you guys that way and I'll make sure you do it. That way it's like you make sure you do it. I'll watch your form. I'll tell you what to do. And they were like, oh, this is so great. Now imagine they're 80, so it's a little bit more novel at that point to be like, oh, this is amazing, right? But what a great time to be able to have these tools to train people. Sure. This is, when we opened, we didn't have anything. So we would have been dead in the water. So what a great time to have to pivot. So there are tech tools out there, you guys. I highly suggest getting some type of an app. And listen, at the end of the day, when this thing is over, this is going to leave you with a viable another price point or option for people who you might be able to train remotely, right? There's a lot of people make a whole business online training, obviously. But essentially, you're doing the same thing that you're doing in person. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. I mean, don't undersell it, right?
Yep.
Or, underprice it.
Yeah, it's your expertise. Remember, all these years and time in the trenches and headaches and sweat and tears and certifications and seminars and all the things that you've accumulated. You've got 10,000 hours of training, whatever that may be. There's value in that. So don't underestimate that value and don't undersell yourself because it's worth something.
Yeah. And then it's still fitted to that person and everything they need. And honestly, I mean, we talk to people, we work with them based on what equipment they have and stuff like that. But we will tell them like, hey, maybe just order you a kettlebell, get something. It's not that hard. We can literally make you out of anything. But if I train 4 people a week, you guys get a kettlebell and a band and we'll go to work.
Yep. And as you guys know, certainly the trainers that are listening to this, the hardest workouts ever are the ones where you're stuck at home and you only have a kettlebell or only have a dumbbell. Brutal. I'd much rather have access to more knickknacks.
Right, absolutely.
Right, than to have to do that. But yeah, man, listen, at the end of the day, it's a viable option. Don't sell yourself short. There's tools out there. And if you think about it, there's no real secret to it. It's pretty simple. You do a video-driven, starting point session. You communicate often, you make it personalized, all about them. You track all kinds of different habits, and you have those personal conversations once a week to hold them accountable. Mm-hmm. And that'll get you 99% there and leverage whatever and when and whatever kind of tech that you can get a hold of to make this possible. It's a massive opportunity right now to build a whole nother line item of business. Yeah. So that's the way I'd like everybody to look at it. It's not easy right now, you guys. I feel for you. All the guys that are in the industry with me, been talking to many, many of you over the last few days. So stay strong. We're certainly making light of it here as best we can.
For sure.
And, I don't know, half laughing, half crying at the same time. Hour over hour, I go from like, we so got this to like, oh my God, the world's on fire. We're all dying.
We got this.
Yeah, I agree. Ultimately, it swings back to we got this. So anyway, guys, appreciate you hanging there, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
See ya.